exactly the same from this photo. And this one as well. This is very old, and it used to be in all the libraries that we frequent. The card catalog is what it's called. I remember this from elementary school. Obviously, that's not the way that libraries conduct business anymore. Things are moving toward the digital age. But still, the concept exists. This image shows that we still need to organize our resources and somehow make sense out of all the. Did you have a question?
Well, I was going to say some people still use this too. I found out that some people still use.
Yes, maybe.
Small little towns.
Yeah, maybe libraries at schools or in places that can't afford to go digital or that can't access computers. Something like that. So, to move our libraries toward a digital age, we have to work together, and each of these pieces are critical functions that must take place to move a library toward a card catalog library toward a digital library. Yes, and it takes exactly 4 people to make it. And so when we start moving our library resources over to the digital age, we need to be able to access those resources somehow. Obviously, we would do so on a computer, but today people are using mobile devices to access almost everything. And we all take them into class with us, and so Gary, your phone rang like 3 times last class, right?
It rang.
Sorry.
Once.
It was 2 or 3 times.
It rang once, the message alert once, and the only time in my entire life that my phone has rung in class.
Well, what I was going to say is mine rang earlier too, but what happened? Your face turned red, you were very embarrassed.
Yes, I was.
So, but is that how we should feel? I mean, yes, we should receive phone calls in class, but classrooms should embrace this technology. This is how we access information these days. App designers I have an iPad there. IU is doing this. They're designing apps for us to find out bus schedules, and actually, I believe the libraries are creating apps for us to access resources. So, if classrooms can be designed, like Dan, you were talking about, a lot of the older faculty are very reluctant to go toward the IT direction. But younger folks like us, when we're someday faculty members, we may allow people to vote on their phones, and then it pops up on the PowerPoint presentation. I actually had an instructor who did that last semester. So. Moving toward the digital age is fine. You just need to be able to access that information as well. Need to make it accessible. So we're going to do a little activity, and I will tell you what that is right now. That is, we are going to discuss social networking, and we'll go ahead and just call that Web 2.0. So, side note, has anyone heard of Web 3.0 yet? Anybody heard of that? Okay, well, supposedly it's when the robots take over. It's when computers start generating their own content. Right, so you have your computer Twitters, right? So the activity will be... Okay, here's the activity. Okay, besides these on the board, have you ever played that game where you have to name a category and you keep, like you're drinking Coca-Cola and someone has to name we'll say like mammals, and then you go, right?
Dog.
Right, but we're not going to do mammals. We're going to do social networking. You can't use these on the board. So, Carrie, you're first.
What do I have to do? Name a category?
Category of social networking. Because this is a major technology that's used when we start to migrate toward a digital library. Can you think of anything? It could be Facebook.
It's on there.
Right.
Okay.
I saw that.
Okay, but I have to name one that's not on there?
Yes. It's an activity.
How about Tumblr?
Tumblr. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff?
Oh my gosh. This is hard.
You name it?
You pass.
Okay.
Groove Shark.
Okay. Great. Okay, so there's tons of them out there. That's the point. But none of them are ingrained in your lives to the point where you can sit there and name them off. And that's kind of the point of the activity. Is that we can read these and we say, yeah, I'm familiar with Facebook, I'm familiar with Twitter, I'm familiar with Flickr. But they're not so ingrained in my life, besides those, those major ones there, that I use them primarily to access information in the library. So, Facebook is not the way you want to access digital information about libraries. Because Facebook and the information on Facebook is very subjective. It's not based on fact. What?
It's not the cat's ass.
Okay, now, this is really important. This is a major point of my presentation. Folks. Don't worry, technology will save you. Actually, that's not really true. We still need to understand what to do when we walk into a library. Technology won't save you. Technology is a tool for you to use to make your lives easier and make your lives more efficient. Technology won't do your job. Technology won't save you. A librarian's role is, in the digital age, is in question. What do librarians really do? I don't know. I'm not a librarian. but I've often wondered what's going to happen, and in fact, none of you really know either what's going to happen, right? I mean, it's really in question. Digitizing libraries is going to create jobs and it's going to end some jobs. That makes people very uncomfortable. So the librarian's role is definitely in question. And we'll go back sort of to the point where people are reluctant to embrace the technology. People really are averse to change. They're averse to adopting new technologies. And when they do, it's panic time, right? I one time designed a database for some folks at Crane. I was on a team that designed a database. And, part of my responsibility was to go around to each user and ask them questions about what they do. And that prompted questions to me, why are you doing this? Why are you asking this question? And I said, well, we're going to be designing a database, and it's going to totally change your work life. You're going to use this database from now on, and it's going to change the way you do your job. It's going to be more efficient. And management, when they start designing these projects, they think that making a job more efficient is going to make people happier. It's not necessarily true because people are very averse to change. And so when you start introducing new technologies into a job field, you start scaring people. They start talking about it. Some employees get unhappy and quit because by nature we are averse to change, and it does create some shock from the workplace. So that's kind of like a side effect of what happens when you start changing the way people do business. So, does anybody have any questions or comments about digitizing libraries? Gary does.
Well, no, I just think that, I mean, it's rather inevitable.
It is.
We can't live in this information age and just pretend that all of that's not going on. But the reality remains that people will always need information. They will need reliable, professionally vetted information, and someone's going to have to be the provider of that.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah, so what you're saying is people may as well, if being totally averse to this is going to do them no good, they should probably start embracing it, learning the various technologies that are going to require, they're going to be required to know to do the job, right? Because it's going to happen.
Right, and librarians are, you know, on the way out. I think that it's certainly changing. I think it's becoming something different.
Sure.
But I think we'll always need people to mediate information discovery.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you guys. Who all here actually works in a library, in a library? So all of you do. Okay. So have you ever experienced like this happening in a library and people being averse to it? Anybody? Any new technologies introduced?
We just upgraded Thursday and it caused a few problems, but that's only because they didn't finish upgrading some of the bits that we used.
Yeah.
So just as far as like the pitfalls that you fall into when you're incorporating new technology, you don't see all the bugs until you put it into practice. So when people run into the bugs, they just automatically start hating it instead of seeing the good parts of it.
It's very, it's a touchy subject. I mean, it takes foresight from management to manage that knowledge, how people are going to accept it. I mean, you really need to be gentle with us. I've definitely learned the hard way now. How about you?
Oh, I think too. I've worked in a small public library where all of the other employees are like, 60 and above. In that situation, it's really hard for them to. I mean, they're just starting to become comfortable with this whole internet new thing. And whenever you change the way you have to check out books or change where you click to, say, oh, patron paid their fine, it takes them a lot longer. And so it's not that they're necessarily averse to the change, it's just that they get frustrated so easily because it's not their native environment.
And they sort of feel like I have a 70-year-old father who recently became a Mac user, so it's been my job to teach him sort of how to do it. He thinks that he's really worried about me getting frustrated with him because he's taking a long time to work something out. So I think that it creates some like social anxiety almost for people because, most of us here grew up with computers and we can click fast around, know exactly what's going on, everything's very intuitive. With people like my dad, they have to relearn every single web page they visit, so it takes more time to process. Plus, you stuff to your phone, so it just takes a little more time. I just think that's a major part of it is the social anxiety.
Yeah, my dad's older too. He's in his 80s, and I don't think he's ever used the internet. It's always like through my mom or well, they don't even have internet at home, so she'll like print out emails from family members and be like, here you go, here's an email, but he just thinks like, thanks, this is an email, like he gets the concept, but he doesn't practice.
Right. So when we apply that to libraries, it seems like that's definitely something that people would be concerned with, and not just people who work at libraries, people who go to libraries, who wouldn't necessarily want everything to be digital. A lot of people are used to the same system that's been in use for so long, and they walk into a library and get a ton of terminals there. Books. Does anybody have any questions? Because I'm an expert.